got some cute notebooks. Oh, my Life with Francy podcast, as well as a journal. Here is the Spanish version, but I have three English versions of the three things that are important to me. Not the to do list, but what really matters. Something that you're grateful for, something that you're proud of, something that you dream of, and something that you pray for. Something simple but effective, as well as some cute notebooks. I love anything journaling related. So if you like cute things like this, go check out lifewithfrancy.com/shop. Hello and welcome to Life with Francie podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a place where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. Today's episode was thanks to Podmatch, an amazing community for podcast hosts and podcast guests to do amazing collaborations like this one. And they have tools and resources for anybody in the podcasting world. Now, let's welcome Nita Sweeney, who is the best-selling wellness author of Depression Hates a Moving Target. You should be writing and make every move a meditation. Ultra ma- math. I can't say that word, but she does a lot of marathon. Meditator, mindfulness coach, writing practice, mental health advocate, doc mom, retired attorney, retired publisher. Oh my goodness, girl! I can't wait to start this conversation with you. Let's welcome Nita to the episode, and thank you for being here. Tell us, what is life with you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I just finished what I call house jogging. So I'm an ultra marathoner. I'm a runner. I do all kinds of distances, but and it's really, really cold and rainy here today. And there was a day when I would have put on gear and gone outside. And I don't know that those days are over, but today I decided not to. And so we live in a ranch house that has a pretty open floor plan. And so I just jogged 4 miles in my house.
I
And
love
that's
that.
what life is like with me. So I write, I run very slowly. I have a wonderful husband and a dog, and I write books and I promote my books and try to help people. That's
I
that's how
love
what's
it.
that's life. Yeah.
Have you always been a runner?
No, that's the first book. So the book titled Depression Hates a Moving Target is about how at 49, or I might have been 48, just shy of 50, I saw a social media post from a high school friend who wasn't athletic, just like me, also not athletic, who said, "Call me crazy, but this running is getting to be fun." Okay, so the word run and fun, no, 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 they don't go together, right? Um,
Yes.
but I watched and she seemed to be having fun. And so I looked up the plan she was doing, and then eventually I snuck down into this kind of hidden area in my neighborhood. I took the dog as a decoy, so people would think I was just walking the dog. And I started running. And it was not a, straight journey upward. It was very circuitous. But eventually I kind of fell in love with it and I joined a running group. And it's the kind of thing where if you hang around in a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. And so you hang around with these people that do these crazy audacious things, and eventually the next thing you know, you're doing 10Ks and half marathons, and then, oh, why not the marathon? And then they say, oh, there's this little ultra that's just a couple hours north of here, and you just run around in circles for 10 hours. And you go, okay, fine, whatever. There's snacks. Okay, fine, whatever. I know it sounds it was not as easy as that, but yeah, that's no. So the short answer, that was a very long answer to a short question, which is what I often do. The answer was no. I was not always a runner.
Oh my God. No, I love it and I'm here for it because like to go from 0 to 100 just because people offer you some snacks. just
Well,
I'm
I
like,
have
I need more friends like that. Maybe
yeah,
if
we
they offer
do.
me snacks and running instead of snacks and watching a movie.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I love that. So you start running and like now you want to turn it into a book to help others, or how does that journey? Tell me more about your story.
Yeah, so what happened, I never intended to run even outside that ravine, really. I was sort of running back and forth. It was a training plan where you ran a little bit and walked a little bit. But my niece had died of cancer a few years before. Actually, a lot of people died. 7 people and a cat all died in an 11-month period of time. And so that day when I saw my friend her post on social media, I was in a pretty dark place. I have chronic depression and I'm bipolar 2, and I had kind of hit a pretty hard place. So I joke about it now, but I really was in danger. I had mental health help, professionals and meds and things, um, but I needed something different. And that's part of why I thought, well, I haven't tried this yet. I know I did some running when I was younger, but it was really sprinting. It wasn't the kind of stuff I do now. So I had taken up this jogging and made the mistake of telling my sister, who was my niece's mom. It was her only child who died of cancer at 24. And she said to me after a few weeks, she said, "Oh, there's this 5K that raises money for osteosarcoma, for sarcoma, this type of cancer that she died from." My niece's name was Jamie. And I said, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm a private runner. I can't run in public," which I laugh at it now, but I mean, I was really serious. I was terrified to leave my little neighborhood. I mean, I just thought I was too big, I was too old, I was too sloppy, I didn't have the right clothes. I mean, all the don'ts, all the things that we say to ourselves to disqualify ourselves that things could from things that could bring us joy. But eventually, I remembered what my niece had gone through to try to stay alive. She lived 500 days. And I thought, get over yourself. You can do this. You can raise money. And, and that not only raised some money, it really changed things because I showed up at this 5K and there's people older than me, there's people bigger than me, there's people all shapes, sizes. Of course, lots of them are much trimmer than I am now or was then. Spandex, cotton, sweatpants, fancy, running gear, everything. People with strollers, people with dogs, and it just blew open all my preconceptions as to what the running community was. And I was just all in. I mean, I just loved it. I loved the music. I loved the fellowship. I loved the camaraderie. And I'm pretty introverted, so it just shifted. And that's when I started thinking, well, I don't know, maybe I could do something more of this. And I'd also the other thing that had happened is I had seen a 26.2 sticker on the back of a friend's car. And when I had seen those probably many times earlier in my life, I thought they were Bible verses. I didn't know what they were. No, 26.2 is a distance. That's how long a marathon is. That's what that sticker means. And I went, "Oh my gosh, you ran a marathon?" I mean, an actual whole man. So I talked to him and he said, "Nita, if you train for it and you make sure it's a distance that has a big enough time limit, you can do it. You just have to train for it." And I thought, "Oh, wow." And so I needed my mind shaken up. I needed my life shaken up at that time in my life because things were just so dark. So that's really how it started. It's my sister's fault because I told her and she said, "Hey, there's this race." And yeah, I would never have met these people, and they're like family now.
um when it, I love that, and I don't have siblings, but like I have friends, girlfriends, and like once you tell something to somebody, they're like, "Oh, got it, challenge accepted, let me show you what you can do for real."
Right.
And
I
that's
didn't
awesome to have that relationship.
It really is. And I think after that same year, our mother died also. It was just a bad, bad year. My niece died, my husband's father, so my father-in-law died, my mom died, just a lot of people. It just was a crazy
Yeah.
year. And so my sister and I got really close. And she's always been supportive of my writing, but being able to tell the story of how that all happened, and most importantly, how much it helped my mood, how much it changed my perspective on the world. And yeah, I still have mental health issues. It's not a the book that the story I'm telling you is the story of Depression Hates a Moving Target. That's the book. That's the
Okay.
story of me getting off the couch and eventually running these crazy long distances. But it's not, oh, just run and everything will be fine. It's not like that. It helps. It's a tool. And I think sometimes people pick the book up and they think, oh, this is going to be a happily ever after story. And it kind of is, because I'm alive, and I don't have the horrible crippling depression I had. But you have certain things. It's a chronic illness. I will have it all of my life. And today I woke up and I didn't feel like running. It's dreary here. I live in central Ohio. It's gray. I call it, in this time of year, we're in winter in central Ohio. It's like it's I call it being in the envelope, because the clouds come in and you don't get much sun for days and days. And so it's like you're in an envelope and you can't,
Yeah.
you can't really see the
I'm in
sky.
Kansas right now
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
Oh
February
yeah.
when we're recording
Yes.
this interview, but it's going to be published in March.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
right
we'll
now
just
we're
be
dealing with the biggest storm of the year. So like I have a lot of snow outside right
Oh,
now.
do you have the sun? See, we have gotten so warm. 5 years ago, we'd have a foot of snow on the ground, but we've gotten rain, just rain and rain and rain. So it's
Yeah.
just really much warmer. But yeah, so that storm that you're having is coming my way. Oh, here we
It's
go.
not pretty. It's not pretty.
No, no.
But okay, so when it comes to your mental health, did you always know or like you struggle, cuz like for me it was in pretty much in my 30s. Now I'm in my 30s and it's a new thing of doing the mental health evaluation and getting a diagnosis, which mine was 7. I was like, "Girl, you didn't have to have them all." Like
Mm.
but having some trauma help add some more mental health issues. Humor is my coping mechanism
Mm.
for the things that I deal with. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit more about your mental health journey?
Well, I was always kind of a melancholy child. I was always kind of the kid that I mean, I was happy, but I was very anxious, um, and had maybe more sadness than other kids, or a little more down days. And I did well in school, but I also really struggled with making friends, or kind of finding my way. And luckily, I joined the band and I played the flute in band and concert band and marching band. And that gave me a community and also something to feel kind of a sense of accomplishment. But yeah, I've always had just blue days, and it runs in my family. My mother she probably was bipolar. She wasn't diagnosed as that, but she had just dark, dark times. And my father, I don't think he had issues as much as, but other members of his family definitely had a bunch of different mental health problems. And then we all had addiction problems. And for a while, I used alcohol to sedate, my emotions and to deal with that. And I haven't. I got sober and I haven't had a drink in a long time. So yeah, the mental health has kind of always been there. It really, really came to a head when I was an attorney, when I was practicing law in law school, and also when I was practicing law. And I think that my job, well, I had a psychologist say that me being an attorney was the worst case of poor job fit she'd seen in, I don't know, 20 years of psychology practice, because I hate conflict. And that's the whole point.
I can relate.
That's the
Yeah,
whole
I
point.
can relate. There's no
Yeah.
way I could be a lawyer.
Yeah, but I think, now looking back, what I did, I mean, an attorney for 10 years and I was a partner in a small
Wow.
firm. And what I did was I did all the research and writing. And I think if I could have stayed with that, I might have, I might still be there. I don't know. I'm happy that I'm writing other things now, but I know that I was happiest in the library. Put me in the law library in the stacks. I'm a happy, happy lady.
I
And
love it.
yeah, I'd write, different people would give me their stuff to review before it went out the door, because I could shorten it, make it tighter, make it stronger, because I was just good at that. And but what happened was I didn't have medication at that time. I wasn't seeing a therapist, and I just had so much anxiety, and the depression got so bad that I couldn't work, and I ended up coming really close to taking my life. I had a plan, and I was planning. I had a plan, and I had a date, and I had the whole thing, but I didn't. There was a kind of a weird intervention, right? I didn't show up for therapy. I got confused as to when my therapy appointment was, and I didn't show up, and they called me, and I answered the phone, which I just to this day I don't know, who knows. But I mean, that receptionist or whoever called me, she really did save my life. It wasn't, I'm not kidding, because that was the plan for the afternoon. And um, so I got really, really intensive help then. I was hospitalized. I went to outpatient, to partial hospital, which is an outpatient hospitalization. So I was inpatient first, then outpatient, and then I was in a long-term treatment. Um, what do they call it? Intensive outpatient or something like that. So I had really a couple of years of very intense mental health help, which I'm not sure people get that now. This was in the mid 90s, and I had good insurance. I was a partner in a law firm, so it was very much privilege all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very sad now when I hear people that don't have access to mental health care. It pisses me off. I'm
Me
not
too.
just sad, it pisses me off because, if they had cancer, they'd still have huge bills, but they'd get treated.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, now it's just, I don't know. So that led me to leave the practice again because I just couldn't figure out a way to stay. I couldn't, there just wasn't a way for me to be healthy and stay. And it took a long time to get kind of the book business going, but that's what I wanted to do. And that's what I wanted to do from when I was a little kid. I always
Yeah,
just
I
wanted
was
to
gonna
write
ask,
books.
what's your
I
journey
wanted
with writing?
I wanted a book with my name on it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I just wanted a book with my
No,
name on
me too, me too.
it. And I didn't go. I took my undergrad was in I'm sorry, my bachelor's degree was in journalism. So I didn't take creative writing because it just didn't seem practical. But then I couldn't imagine being a journalist either. So it was just and then I went to law school and went kind of all down that path. But it's been a long, slow journey. And the thing that I would say is finding the right story to tell. And for me, Depression Hates a Moving Target was the right story because I have a lot of other books. I've written first drafts of tons of books. And one of them, which I'm going to be working on again, a different memoir, I tried to get published. I went to graduate school, got an MFA, and could not get that book published. It's because it's just not ready. It wasn't the right story. I didn't know how to tell it. Um, and I just found the right story at the right time because mental health was really on kind of the uptick of awareness in the world like 2019 was when the book came out. So 2018, 2019 was when it was really starting to come into early awareness. And the publisher, this small publisher, Mango Publishing, they're not small anymore, but they were ready for a book like that. And so it was sort of just the right place, the right time. And I was ready to write it. And it's so funny because now you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I would have written so much of it differently now, or I would have, I mean, it's the same story. You can't, it's a memoir, so the facts are the facts. But what the facts mean and why I shared those facts, sometimes you don't know that when you're writing it. And only in hindsight, when I sit down and talk to somebody like you, do I realize, well, the shoes were important to me because I'm obsessive compulsive. That's why I'm talking about the shoes for pages and pages, and these insane little details that don't matter to a lot of people. That was my mental health issue, was because I was obsessed with this stuff. And it seems so obvious to me, but it's not
Yeah.
always obvious to everybody else.
No, yeah. So I love it. I'm here for it. So you go from that book, how do you go to the second book?
So the second book was actually a writing journal. So it's a blank book. It's called You Should Be Writing. And my editor, there was another author at the publisher who had the idea, but because of some circumstances in her life, she needed someone to co-create it with her. And so I ended up doing kind of finalizing the project with her. Excuse me. And it worked out. It's just a blank book with a really pretty cover and lovely little images inside. And at the top of each page is an author quote. So it's a quote from someone who's been there, done that. And the idea is that some of the quotes will be inspirational and some of the quotes will be instructional. And then the journal is divided into chapters according to different topics. And there are things like craft, things like the sound of language, the author's duty to the world, the author's responsibility to themselves, kind of a self-care thing. There's a chapter of just what we might call the masters, so old writers from a long time ago, just sort of different takes on writing. And the idea is not necessarily that they're prompts. It's almost like these authors are just sitting beside you as you write whatever you want to write in this book. But essentially, it's a blank book. It's a journal, just like what you were talking about earlier. And
Yeah.
but it's very structured because we took a lot of time and care to get a wide variety of author quotes from a diverse population. So it wasn't just old white guys, dead white guys. We didn't just want dead white guys. We wanted again, instructional inspiration. So that's the second book that came out of this partnership with my at the time she was the acquisitions editor, Brenda Knight. Now she's the publisher of Mango Publishing Group, and then another author, Becca Anderson, at Mango. So that was the second book, because we thought a different book was going to happen, but that didn't happen because it's I like the word circuitous, as you can tell, because the publishing journey has been that way too. So that's how that one happened. And then I thought that my second book was going to be this little book on the end. Can you see this little book on the end? Yeah. It's called A Daily Dose of Now. And I probably didn't, it's probably not in the bio that I sent you, which it was a mistake. It just came out. We're recording in January, so it will have been out about 5 months by the time this airs, because it came out in November. And it's a daily reader of mindfulness practices. So there's a quote and then a little kind of explanation of how I use the particular technique I'm going to share that day, and then a today's practice, which is just a how-to, just do this. Very simple, one for every day of the year. And that just came out. And that's what I thought was going to be the kind of third book or the next book. And my editor really wanted it. She did. She took it to the sales team there a number of times. And, they had their reasons. They just weren't ready for it. They didn't care for it. They didn't think it was probably they always have to do the cost benefit analysis. So maybe they didn't think they could make enough money on it. I don't know. But they rejected it a couple times. And we tried a different title. We tried different things because she did want it. She saw the potential in it. So that had to go on hold. And the next book that I did with Mango is the real bright colored one over here called Make Every Move a Meditation, which you mentioned. And that is how to meditate while you exercise or while you move at all. So most people think of meditation as sitting still, cross-legged on the floor. That's what most people think of. But I meditate while I run. And it's something I've been meditating for over 30 years. And after I started running, I figured out pretty quickly that I could do a meditation practice, a mindfulness practice while I was running. I just had to choose what I was going to focus on. So it might be a color or a sound or my breath or the feeling of my feet hitting the ground. It could be anything. And then do my best to focus on that and relax around it. And when my mind wandered, which it would, because minds wander, that's what they do, I just gently brought my mind back to whatever the thing was. And I would choose maybe to do that for a mile. I wouldn't necessarily do it for the entire time I was running. And it just seemed so natural to me because I already had the skill of meditation. And so Brenda thought it would be a great idea to share that in book form. And so that is sort of a how-to. It's very memoir-ish because a lot of the examples, not all of them, but a lot of the examples are me meditating while I'm moving, whether it's playing golf with my dad, running, my attempt to learn how to swim, which I sort of kind of did, sort of kind of, and um, yeah, and so then I explain, step by step, including why you might want to do that, what are the benefits, the history, some of the where did this come from? Did Nita just make this up? No, Nita did not just make this up. And I talk about some other people's practices, different people, like a guy who meditates while he plays disc golf, woman meditates while she's sailing a boat, guy meditates while he does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Mention little things like that, lifting weights, all kinds of different things, swimming, of course.
Yeah, that's a different perspective because I fight meditation because I can't just stay still. That's why I do more of emotional freedom technique,
Oh, yes.
EFT,
Mm-hmm.
because I can concentrate in one thought while I'm hitting different nerve points in my body. But
Right.
meditation, like I have fought it for so long, and it's just been in the past year that I have been able to calm myself a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
because in at the look of peace, I found joy. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I found joy, I can concentrate on peace to finally shut my mind down. But what works for me is like diamond painting. So you mentioned craft. I love
Yes.
crafting anything in the
Oh,
craft.
yes. Yeah, that's painting and knitting, crochet, anything like that. That's in fact, I think I talked about that in the book about when I had a period where I was so anxious. This is before I started running. My anxiety was so high that I would crochet
Mhm.
just that repetitive motion would help focus my mind on my hands moving and keep the negative thoughts at bay. And so, yeah, I talk a lot about emotions in Make Every Move meditation. It sort of has a mental health thread all the way through it because that's just my life. That's just who I am. And so I can't really write about anything that doesn't have some mental health component. And I talk about things like, your teacher should have a teacher and your therapist should have a therapist, and
Mhm.
um, trauma informed meditation teachers, things like that. I definitely hit all those points in there because it's so important. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
so glad
that's
you found EFT is wonderful. I'm so glad you found that. That's great.
yeah. Well, it was like I think it was 2019 that if you told me scratch your head 3 times a day and that will help you in your mental health journey, I would have been scratching my head 3 times a day because I just needed anything and everything. Like, please, for the love of God, like let let me stop because I have done on and off therapy and it wasn't working. I have hired coaches, but the first one didn't work, but the second one did. And it wasn't until I spoke about my trauma out loud that I was able to finally like find other coping mechanisms. But then that still was not like I was still like hamster wheel,
Oh yeah.
just going in, and I just didn't understand because I didn't want to be in survival mode anymore. I'm like, I'm not surviving anything. Why do I still feel like I'm in survival mode? And people were having higher expectations because I am 36 years old. So in my early 30s, it's like, oh, you're in your 30s now. You should be acting like this and that and whatever. And I'm like, but I don't feel like that. Like I'm Googling like how do 30-year-olds are supposed to act because I do not feel 30 at all. Come to find out because of trauma and moving, let's just talk about me moving at 15 from one
Mm-hmm.
country to the next.
Right.
I have changed families. I have changed everything because I chose one parent to the other. So I changed everything. Then trauma happened. So I have two huge setbacks in my life where it's hard for me to catch up to my age.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got the mental health evaluation diagnosing me with 7 mental health issues that I was like, oh, shoot, if my best friend were like this, I will be like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? How are
Right.
you surviving this? Come over here. Let me give you a hug. Let me go for ice cream or whatever. But when it came to me, it was like, oh no, you blah 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 blah, a lot of bad words, a lot of not self confidence, no love or whatever. So it's been 3 years of loving myself, and
I'm so glad.
a
That's
year
beautiful,
of
Francie.
speaking my trauma out loud.
Mhm.
So it's like a lot of things to get here, but this is why I have the podcast, because everything that I speak, no matter what part of my life I'm speaking on, is about mental health. It's about me understanding what I need for anxiety, what I need for depression, bipolar too. Um, yeah, so it was just, it's been a learning curve.
Oh, yeah. I think it's that I love thinking about it that way though, because we're learning us. We're
Mhm.
learning our minds, we're learning our bodies, we're learning our hearts. And they don't give you a manual, when you come down the chute, there's no directions. And your parents do what they do their best, but they're messed up too. Everybody's parents are messed up.
Oh
Some
yeah.
are worse than others,
I call
some
my
are worse
mom
than
almost
others.
perfect, but that almost is in caps. But I love her. She's my best friend.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I'm sure she has her struggles too, and that's just the way it is. And some of us just are extra sensitive and it's extra hard for us. And so I do some coaching too. I coach mostly runners, writers, and lawyers, but I've done
Okay.
some other people too. But I say it's creatives, excuse me, creatives, professionals, and athletes, because I don't have any limits. But the biggest thing is what's going to work for me may not work for you. And so it's about finding the right fit, finding the thing that is going to work right now, too. Because the thing that worked for me 10 years ago might not work now either, because we change all the time. And luckily, there's tons of tools, tons and tons of tools out there. I'm just always cautious to not say, oh, you have to run, or oh, you have to write, or oh, you have to meditate, or you don't have to do anything. You just have to find the thing that hits for you. So I just love that you found EFT because um, that's one of the things I've studied. It wasn't a great fit for me for whatever reason. It wasn't. But man, I know people who it has just absolutely saved their lives. And it sounds like that's been your experience too, and that's fabulous.
Yeah, because I'm high energy.
Yeah.
So it's just like to bring me down. That's one of the things that help, and changing the thoughts. Because I love that you a couple of your books have quotes and everything.
Mhm.
Because I have had journals that I just put quotes
Yeah.
because I didn't love myself. So I needed quotes that taught me how to say the right words about loving myself. And now this year it's all about intention. So I have a lot of quotes this year already of believing in myself, because I
Mhm.
need to reprogram my brain of like, no, you got this, girl. You just gotta take more actions, but you got
Mhm.
this.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with my listeners?
No, I just want to say that just express my gratitude to you for the podcast and for being so authentic and genuine. Because I think when people hear somebody speak from the heart, they will know, yes, I connect with that person, or no, they're not for me. And neither of
Mhm.
those are bad. That's not a bad thing. It's figuring out who might be a mentor for you, or who might be a role model, or who might be a friend. And when people like you can do something like this and share it with the world in a very genuine way, it just it I mean, I just think we need so much more of that, so much more of that. So that's my little gratitude for you, is to thank you.
Thank you so much. That like really means a lot, because it's so hard. But yet this is me. I mean, like me or hate me. Like yeah, I just the world needs more honesty.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
world needs more real. facts, and it is what it is sometimes. So I love it, and I love your mission. I gotta check out some of your books because I'm
Oh,
like, oh
yay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
think most of them are available at the library. You can't the journal you can't get at the library because it's a blank book, so you'd have to. I always my editors told me, she says, tell them that your books are available wherever fine books are sold, which I just love that. But seriously, you can get them at whatever your favorite retail. I love independent bookstores. And I love libraries, so those are usually the places I tell people. And if you don't see it there, ask, because it's available. Any of them are available for order. And the new one, like I said, just came out, A Daily Dose of Now. That's my little daily reader, and I'm loving people's feedback on that. It's probably it took me 30 years to write, so it's probably my favorite of all of them. But I'm biased, so yeah. And
I
people can
love that.
find. I don't know if you were going to ask this later, but
Yes.
just to
Where
wrap it
can I
up.
find you?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a website, nitasweeney.com. So it's just my name, nitasweeney.com. And on there, I have a newsletter sign up. I don't spam people. I just send a newsletter out maybe once a month, maybe twice if I have some news. And that's probably the best way to find me. I'm a lot of other places, but I'm pulling back from a lot of that because it's just so overwhelming.
Mhm.
And um, I want to be genuine to myself and kind to myself, and so I'm, doing some things, a lot of different places. But the best place to find out about all this is on my website, nitasweeney.com.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your mission and your wisdom with us.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode. You can find Life with Francie podcast in all major podcast platforms, as well as my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, and I will have her links on the description of the episode. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye bye.